So, what a whirlwind it has been in news overseas, more specifically in Washington, D.C., where we witnessed Trump supporters storming the Capitol to protest the political happenings. We've got Attorney at Law Michael Corn from Pennsylvania to speak with us more on this morning. Sir, welcome to Smile Jamaica. It's morning time.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me.
It's our pleasure, sir. Hope all is well with you and your family.
It is.
I hear some commentators saying that they were not too surprised that things what happened at the Capitol happened. I was shocked. How did you feel about what happened?
Well, if you're aware of the real history of the United States of America, then this is no surprise. There are many commentators and reporters and elected officials on the local level, the state level, the federal level, who said, this is not America. This is not who we are. Well, this is America. This is who we are. I mean, if you know the history from 1619, with the beginning of slavery as we know it, and then you go up through 1789 with the U.S. Constitution, even before that, 1776 with the Declaration of Independence, it's all tied to slavery and depression. You go further down the line, the 1857 Dred Scott decision, which, by the way, and for those who are not aware, the 1850 Dred Scott decision simply said that Black people in America have no rights that white folks are bound to respect. That's 1857 U.S. Supreme Court. And believe it or not, here we are in 2021, and that decision has never been overturned by the Supreme Court. In fact, just 5 years ago, one of the states here in the United States, Kansas, their top lawyer filed a legal brief in the case and cited that Dred Scott decision to support his argument because although he was a racist, he was a great attorney because he knew that 1857 decision had never been overturned. So long story short, if you know the history of America, then you know that this is America. This is who Americans are.
So what was happening for the last couple of decades? Is it that America really wasn't just, or was just not showing its face? Because this is a more potent display of what you're saying. But, some people thought when Obama was elected, this could be America, Is it that some people fell for a ruse, or what's your assessment of that?
And that's a great point you raise. In regard to the election and re-election of President Barack Obama, that was clearly an aberration in American history. In fact, it almost reminds me of what happened after the Civil War in 1865. There was something called Reconstruction, a rebuilding of America. So the election of President Obama, that was a modern day Reconstruction. But just like in 1865 after the Civil War, and just like after Reconstruction, came something called redemption. So if there was one step taken forward after the Civil War with Reconstruction to bring Black Americans into the American family, then something called redemption, which actually lasted from the 1860s to the 1960s. That was 100 steps backward. So we look at the election of President Barack Obama, a modern day Reconstruction, and then we see the backlash with somebody like Trump. And I call him Trump because that's his family name, and I refuse to use the name that he uses. I mean, here's a man who said the horrible things he said about Black people, about Mexicans, about a lot of folks, disabled people. And nonetheless, he was elected. And even though he lost this time around, there were at least about, some people say as many as 80, but I say about 74 million Americans voted for him in 2020. So yes, it was a step forward with the election and re-election of President Barack Obama, but it's 100 steps backward. He shows, the current and outgoing president shows the real face of America.
What can happen to him, sir? He's been impeached for inciting. What can happen to the president, whether now or when he leaves office?
I'm glad you posed that question the way you did, what can, as opposed to what will. When you ask what can, there's the 25th Amendment. That's pretty much where his cabinet says, hey, this guy is crazy and dangerous, and we got to get him out of here. That's an internal thing. And then, of course, there's impeachment. And people need to understand that impeachment is a two-step process. what happens is the House of Representatives, they're pretty much like the preliminary jurors. They look to determine, hey, does it seem like something was done wrong here? And if the House of Representatives believe that, hey, it does seem like that, then they pass it, then they impeach the person. But impeachment is not a conviction. That simply means we in the House of Representatives, we believe that we think there's fire, but we know there's smoke. We won't know about the fire until we pass it on to the United States Senate, and they determine whether it's a fire. They determine whether or not there's a conviction. So either it'll be internally with this cabinet getting him out because he's crazy through the 25th Amendment, or it'll be the House and the Senate impeaching and convicting. And that's critically important. And I'm so glad, again, you posed that, because people are saying, well, he got about a week left. Why are we doing this? Well, there's two reasons why that should be done. I say both, the 25th Amendment and impeachment, because what would happen is it would preclude him from being eligible to run for elective office, and it would take away from him the privileges that former presidents have. They get a pension, they get Secret Service protection. He does not deserve any of that because he engaged in treason, sedition, and crimes against the United States of America. He should not be rewarded for that.
Okay, so Michael, let me follow up on your point made after Endeavor asked this question. That's what can happen. What will happen?
You ask a difficult question, and I'm going to get to the point. The 25th Amendment is highly unlikely. In fact, initially it was stated that Vice President Pence, who has to take the lead on it, they said that there was talk that he would. And then they said, well, he might want to run for president himself in 2024. And whether you love or hate Trump, you got to concede that he has a strong base. As I pointed out, at least 74 million persons. So that's not going to happen. 25th Amendment is not going to happen. I believe that he will be impeached because we know now that both the House and the Senate are democratically controlled, or at least will be very shortly. But long story short, because the House of Representatives clearly has a majority among the Democrats, he will be impeached. But I doubt sincerely if he'll be convicted by the Senate.
And he can be impeached after leaving office, can he?
You all ask perfect questions. I wish we had you here in the United States, because the journalists really don't know what's going on here in the U.S. in terms of the people who are on the major news programs here. I love what you do, because what you do is perfect and it goes to the core of the issues. Having said that, let me say this. It's clear that even though his term will be over in about a week, you can still impeach him, because it's like what he used to say that, hey, I can go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and nothing's going to happen to me. Does that mean he can go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody today? And because he'll no longer be the president in about a week, we can't prosecute him? Yes. The whole notion of the 25th Amendment, the whole notion of impeachment deals with what you did as president. And even though you're no longer president, you still did that thing as president, so you got to be punished for it.
Is he criminally liable,
yes.
You think?
I'm sorry?
Criminally liable?
Yes. In fact, not only criminally liable, on the federal level, we have a slight problem, because clearly a president can pardon people for federal crimes. The question now is, can he pardon himself for a federal crime? And that's up in the air. I mean, clearly, when the so-called founding fathers did what they did with the Constitution, they clearly did. They wanted to stay away from the notion of a king. And it's a king-like conduct to pardon yourself. So that was never the intent. But unfortunately, there's nothing written down in black and white that says you cannot pardon yourself. So there's that window that's slightly open, and he's going to be able to do it. And not only pardon himself for past crimes, but the way the law works is that federal law, he can pardon himself and his family for future crimes.
Really?
But that does not apply to state crimes. So if New York is coming after him, if Michigan is coming after him, if any state comes after him, he cannot pardon himself. So he has liability criminal on the federal level. He can get out of that. Liability on the criminal level in the states, and also civil liability, because he's been sued by a lot of folks for financial fraud. So he's about to walk into a world of trouble.
Forgive my ignorance, Mr. Court. Someone was killed in this insurrection. Can the president or could be asked to answer for that also? Could be, charged for murder, I suspect?
It depends, and that's not an ignorant question. That's a great question. The reason is there's the law against murder on both the federal level and the local level, because terrorism is defined as crossing state lines to engage in political action that, in many examples, but certainly that could result in a criminal homicide. So yes, he could be charged with murder on the federal level, and he could get out of that through the pardon, but he can also be charged with murder by the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., and can't get out of that. So yes, federal and local, and he potentially could be facing both.
So Michael, what does the U.S. look like after January 20? Well, actually, he still has 10 days. We don't know what's going to happen. But I see Joe Biden, President-elect Biden, making posts about how he wants to bring everybody together and it's time to unite and so on and so forth. But Trumpism is a real thing now. What does the U.S. look like after the 20th of January, and how does this division heal, if at all?
In the same way that slavery supposedly ended with the 13th Amendment in 1865, and I say supposedly because if you read the 13th Amendment, it does not say slavery and involuntary servitude are hereby abolished, period, or slavery and involuntary servitude are hereby abolished, exclamation point. It says slavery and involuntary servitude are hereby abolished, comma. Then it says, except for conviction of crime. So what the states began to do is to create crimes like curfew violations and vagrancy laws and loitering in order to criminalize Black folks who thought they had their freedom. I say that to say this: in the same way that Black folks didn't get their freedom in 1865, just because 1865 came along, the plight of America is not going to end after January 20. Because the residue of slavery continued after 1865, and the residue of Trumpism will continue after January 20. I don't like to give Trump credit for anything, but I will say this: he got more votes than any sitting president in the history of the United States of America. Clearly, Biden got more at about 81, 82 million, but with 74 million, that's a strong base. That's Trumpism. So unless Biden gets the Justice Department to crack down with strong force on these domestic terrorists, then we're going to see a repeat. In fact, it's been stated on social media that something's supposed to happen similar to what happened on January 6th, supposed to happen on January 17th, January 20th, or in the future. Those folks who did what they did on January 6th, they're not going to say today, hey, what we did was wrong, slap us on the wrist, we'll be good boys. They are still simmering, and some of them are outraged. So I don't want to be an alarmist, but sometimes you got to ring the alarm. I see worse things happening. And the only way we can diffuse that is that like-minded people, good people, Black, white, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, we all have to come together and put pressure on the federal government to crush Trumpism, because Trumpism is not only not dead, it's alive and well.
Incredibly well explained to us, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great year, and God bless you and your family.
Thank you both, and I mean it when I say I love your show, because you ask probing questions. Normally, I try to rattle off answers, but you asked me questions that had to make me think first.
Oh, good. We're glad to hear that. Thank you so much.
I thank you both.
We appreciate
you.
that, sir. Attorney at law Michael Cord from Pennsylvania. Interesting.
Yeah, man.
Incredibly
My
interesting.
Gosh. I don't know if any of us could have fathomed this.
Go for a break. Soon come.